Good afternoon, everyone, or for those who's gonna watch this video or interview somewhere else or at another time. Good morning or good evening, whichever time zone you are. My name is Marilyn. I'm the founder and CEO of Customized Training Solutions Private Limited, or CTS, and we are passionate about helping leaders and organizations who are continuous learners and action takers to transform and thrive by co creating customized programs with our world class resources. We have served over 3,000 leaders from 30 countries in different industries, including Petronas, Sony, PruLife UK, Ayala, um, Chevron, Tencent, Jollibee Groups, and Shell, to name a few. Experts says that the pandemic will last for the next 4 to 5 years. This is why we are organizing several interventions, including this interview, to help leaders who don't know how to stay relevant and adapt in the new normal. If you find also that it's stressful to lead and ensure performance of a remote team, afraid that you can't keep your team and business as well, then you should always join us for our interventions to be able to stay relevant and continue to lead effectively in any situation. And it's great. It's going to be, of course, my great pleasure as always to introduce this leader for today. Rosan is an expert business sales, and organizational development executive with proven ability to drive change, grow brands, and coach and lead teams and individuals to high levels of performance. She is a leader who is known to deliver in highly competitive markets while maintaining a high degree of professionalism and integrity. Rosan's experience is progressively varied, and she has successfully navigated uncharted waters in her career in finance, sales, HR, consulting and coaching, organizational development, and project management. She was the first country GM of Dell and Apple in the Philippines, and in the early stage of her consulting practice, she helped one IT sales organization achieve their goal of growing their business 3 times in less than 5 years. Since then, she has worked with various companies both in the Philippines and around Asia to deliver training and consulting services to sales teams in various industries. Among her clients are Procter& and Gamble, TUV Reinhold, Emerson, Philips Lighting, Honeywell, Maersk Shipping, Air Liquide, Unilab, just to name a few. And without so much further ado, I'd like to bring in Rosan. Hi,
Hi,
Rosan.
Marilyn. Good afternoon to you, and hello to everyone who's watching. Thank you for the nice introduction.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to have you here, and I really miss you, our chat and
I
project in the
know.
Philippines, right?
Yes, the chat and the meals together, right?
Yes, correct, correct. So okay. So anyway, let's jump in right away for the interview. Um,
Certainly.
Yes. So the first three questions is more on defining some things, and at the same time, us or our viewers to understand the perspective where you're coming from. So the first question would be, um, if you can please share with us your leadership experience and influencers, like possibly your leadership style, your experience, or who influenced you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I became a leader and I was given a major leadership role, Marilyn, very early in my career. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say that it's both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Good because it opened up a lot of opportunities for me, throughout the span of my career. However, as a young leader, and this happens to some young leaders, and it happened to me, I became quite insecure because I was managing people who were not only older than me by, age, but also who were more experienced in selling. No,
Mm-hmm.
so as a result of that, my leadership style became about command and control. And
Mhm.
so I mixed up management and leadership really bad. And as you can imagine, it resulted in not so good relationships with my team. And over the years, and through the help of mentors, I slowly evolved and learned to be more of a real leader than a manager. So my style changed for being at the really high end of the authoritative spectrum to
Mhm.
being more of a supporting and coaching leader. So,
Mhm.
what does that mean? That means that I simply let people know what I expect of them.
Mhm.
Then I tell them, okay, my door is open. Let me know what help you need. And
Mhm.
then I basically just let them run with it. Now, from time to time, I might drop in and say to them, how are you doing? And we take the conversation from there.
Mhm.
Now, as far as leadership influence goes, I'd say that I was influenced by my very old school and old fashioned leadership
Mhm.
mentors. No? And
Okay.
and what was good about that? They led with integrity. These people
Mhm.
led with integrity. And that was the standard that I followed all throughout my leadership career.
Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And I really agree with you. When I was younger, I was also a leader. And it was difficult for me to understand the difference of leadership and management, as you said, because I was quite new and I was young when I was like heading a department as well back in my Pearl Farm days. And a lot of the people that I worked with has been there for the longest time. And
Absolutely, yeah.
right, sometimes it's like okay, some people just take that negatively as well, no. Sometimes they would think that, oh, I've been here the longer, so I know more than you do, so
Uh,
but I
that's right. Yes. Yeah.
that's at least a fair share for us to be able to learn what we should do like moving forward. And I'm so impressed with you. I mean, it's not the first time I get to talk to you. We've worked together in the past, and I'm so impressed with your profile. And I got more amazed when I had the chance to to learn from you and speak with you as well during our meals, right?
Thank
So
you. You are so kind. Yeah.
So yeah, so moving on to the next question, having said, based on your experience, so what is leadership for you?
Aha. Leadership is a very broad topic, Maryland, no? And
Mhm.
when you really think about it, there's really many kinds of leaders. I know we're talking about leaders from business perspective, but then you have besides corporate leaders, you have
Mhm.
political leaders, leaders who may be supporting a cause, right?
Mhm.
And you might say even the heads of our families, we may also consider as leaders. So, my personal definition of leadership is
Mhm.
someone, okay, is who is there to motivate other people to act in a way that supports the direction that they have charted for them. So, leadership then is really about creating a compelling vision
Mhm.
and inspiring people to rally behind that vision and work towards its fulfillment. If
Mhm.
you think about it, most successful leaders have been measured by how well they are able to motivate people to act. So that
Mhm.
is what leadership is for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I just remembered from this is not the first time I've heard it's all about creating that vision. And the most important part is, having that into a reality, right?
Absolutely, yes. You cannot stop at vision.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of leadership, a lot of us leaders globally have been, um having their own, like, trauma and their share of difficulties now that we're facing a lot of changes, which a lot of times people would call as a new normal, as a next normal, or whatever you want to call it, right? So
Yes.
how would you define and describe next normal?
All right. Well, this, as we all know, the situation we are in
Mm-hmm.
began over a year ago when the pandemic started, right? And we're still in the middle of it, and countries are still struggling with it. And
Mm-hmm.
if I liken the pandemic to a voyage, we
Mm-hmm.
really are still on the ship. And that ship is still in the middle of this great big COVID ocean.
Mm-hmm.
So I say that the next normal is probably still evolving, although there are a few obvious trends that look like they're going to be here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Online shopping is one, which I think
Oh
has
my
been, a
goodness.
source of entertainment for many people during the pandemic. Outdoor dining is there, and online learning as well, work from home, to name a few. Now, what I believe, though, it has done for organizations is that it has brought about an awareness of how efficiencies can be achieved in many areas of their operations. No?
Mm-hmm.
And I was speaking with one CEO several weeks back, and he was telling me, "Oh, Rosan, we have saved so much on corporate travel, we have saved so much on entertainment. And of course, the business, yes, did suffer a little, but they think that
Mm-hmm.
they're getting back into the groove of things." So
Mm-hmm.
many company leaders are realizing that there are a lot of areas where they can save, and there are a lot of areas that they can be more efficient in. Now, from an operational standpoint, it is becoming more apparent that many organizations will begin to deal with having a geographically dispersed workforce
Mm-hmm.
long after the pandemic is gone. And the office environment, as we know it, may no longer be the same. And in fact, a lot of surveys for employees nowadays would yield results that would say some employees, or many of them, would actually prefer to work from home. So,
Mm-hmm.
what does this mean? This will mean that people will have to embrace digital platforms for
True.
collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Hey, we all got to get used to Zoom meetings. I know
Yeah.
some of us are getting Zoom fatigue, but I think it's here to stay as part of the new normal. And
Mm-hmm.
so this will also call for new strategies for
Definitely.
building and creating trust and
Mm-hmm.
strengthening relationships in the workplace.
Let me just put that summary. Thank you so much for defining or for describing us what the next normal is. And I really love what you've said about, really embracing the changes that happening. And at the end of the day, this crisis happened for a reason. And it's up to us to, leverage or see the opportunities rather than the crisis that it has brought about in our life, right?
That's true. Just as we have Maryland, right?
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Yes. And these to six questions I would have is really more of learning from your experiences and, getting more meaty stuff from you. So
Okay.
the next question will then be from your experience as a corporate leader, and also working with corporate leaders right now. What would you say is the top three problems that they normally face?
Okay, this is a bit of a tough question, no? Because corporate leaders face many, many problems, especially,
True.
the higher up you get, I think the more problems you face and the bigger they are. No? But
Mhm.
if I'd have to pick three, I would say number one would be sustaining business growth.
Mhm.
Sustaining business growth, especially if you're a leader who's involved in sales and
Mhm.
directly involved in revenue generation.
Mhm.
So that has always been a challenge. Many, many companies, especially those publicly listed companies, expect business leaders to grow their business year on year. Okay?
True.
Despite what the market conditions might be, despite competitive pressures, despite what's happening, that is an expectation that you sustain business growth. And especially for publicly listed companies, the pressure is even greater because business growth is the main driver for earnings per share. And that is what stakeholders and shareholders really look for. So
Yeah.
that's number one, sustaining business growth. Number two, finding the right talent. No? So, talent acquisition has always been a strategic focus for many businesses. And
Mm-hmm.
this is where some corporate leaders may be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not just about finding people with the right experience. Before, that was the measurement. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
have to find people with the right experience. But now, because the behavior of employees is also changing, they move jobs more frequently, okay, after 2 years or even less than 2 years. Huh? So, what does this mean? You really do have to find people who have passion for the job. You have passion for the job. And that also means that because you expect more turnover, you do have to have a solid talent acquisition strategy in your organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number two, finding the right talent. And I believe the number three challenge that are facing corporate leaders today is to
Mm-hmm.
manage emerging risks, no? Because there are many sources of risks for the business these days.
Mm-hmm.
One, environmental risks. So you have to worry about where am I going to place the business, where it's not likely to have earthquakes or
Mm-hmm.
flooding,
Mm-hmm.
because all of these things affect our businesses, right? Um, cybersecurity. I just came from an online training on cybersecurity, right? And there really are thousands of cyber attacks that happen each day, each and every day. So leaders must be able to manage the risks involved with these things. So, once again, for me, the top three problems that leaders normally face would be sustaining business growth,
Mm-hmm.
finding the right talent, and number three, managing emerging risks, no,
Mm-hmm.
brought about by environmental issues and also by the digital environment that we are in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing with us. And I that's really spot on. The three things that you've mentioned are like, you know, over and over again are like, what I hear from the customers that we work with. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that with us. And so next to that is having that problem, for sure there are also opportunities. And what are the important leadership capabilities or skills you must have to be able to lead the next normal, to continuously be leading effectively and be able to solve that problems that you just mentioned.
Can I say a lot? Okay, that's a very generic answer. Okay, now this is not so much a capability or a skill, but I think it is important to have a strong leadership purpose. And that was what your leadership must be founded on. Because a strong leadership purpose will keep you grounded no matter what obstacles you face. And we know that many obstacles are going to be thrown your way as you
Mhm.
carry out your leadership role. But
True.
if you have a strong leadership purpose to go back to, and you
Mhm.
just keep your eye on it, no, it will give you renewed strength and vitality to do the job. Okay. And if you communicate that leadership purpose to the team, that's going to be even better. And if they embrace it, then you have many people driving towards that purpose.
Mhm.
Second, courage. Courage. Okay. A leader needs that, especially in these times.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Braveheart, Marilyn, but
Great.
in that movie, William Wallace says,
Mhm.
people do not follow titles, people follow courage. I really love that quotation. Okay, and it resonates with me so much. People look for people that can lead and inspire them through uncertain times. Now, what is leadership courage? There are many aspects to it, but I would just pick two. One
Mm-hmm.
is leadership, the courage of voice, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one is courage of action.
Mm-hmm.
So, courage of voice, meaning being able to really speak up on important issues despite opposition, right? Being able to assert yourself. And I will distinguish that from being aggressive. So that's very different, right? So being able to assert yourself on important issues, that's courage of voice. And
Mm-hmm.
the second type of leadership courage is courage of action. This
Mm-hmm.
is being able to act despite risks and despite your own fears. And the third leadership capability, I would say, is empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy. So being able to lead with an understanding of the points of view and circumstances of your team members. And I would also add, it's also important for a leader to be empathetic with its customers,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, what differentiates companies from one another is how we serve our customers. If you can understand them, then you would understand how to best serve their needs. Now, I would add that empathy, is very inspiring to people.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to show empathy as a leader, you need that additional skill. And what is that
Yeah.
additional skill? It's be able to communicate and carry out meaningful and purposeful conversations to people. No? And in those purposeful conversations, you demonstrate to them that you care about what they think, you care about what they're going through, and you care about their contributions.
Mm-hmm.
And when people feel cared for, they just give you their best. Yeah.
I really love that what you said in the end about empathy, and I believe that a lot of the leaders struggled during the COVID-19 because especially the traditional ones where for them presence means productivity, right? And
Mm.
times it's all about balancing business as well with understanding the current condition as well of the employees, because there are also challenges in working from home. Just now my son is knocking on the door.
What you said just now is very true, Marilyn. A leader, especially these days, cannot live on metrics alone. No? What is
Exactly.
important is establishing that human connection. And this is what many people are looking for these days.
Mhm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. And so, what do you believe is the role of, we've talked about leadership, the problems, the skills you need. So, if we will just wrap it up in terms of, like, what's actually the role of learning leadership to be able to transform and thrive in this next normal?
Let's begin with learning. Learning will play a big role in the new normal, just as it has in the past. And so people will need help to be
Mhm.
led into adjusting to new ways of working, new ways of collaborating, and how to work with a geographically dispersed team.
Mhm.
These are skills that we traditionally did not have to learn about. Right?
Mhm.
People will need to learn how to connect emotionally, not only with their teammates, but also customers who are on the other side of the computer screen, right? So there's this virtual divide, between us. And this is especially true for people who might be in sales or in customer
Mhm.
service, the company's frontliners. So this is a new skill that they will have to learn, virtually connecting with their customers. And of course, learning will play a big part in that. The second
Definitely.
part of your question was about leadership and transformation.
Mhm.
As this remote work evolution is happening, there are opportunities, as you mentioned earlier, Marilyn, but
Yes.
there are also issues that arise, like
True.
mental health issues, for example. And
Mhm.
this has been getting a lot of attention lately. And this is where empathetic leadership comes in.
Mhm.
As the company and its people go through these transitions, you need to be able to help your team and support them. Okay, help them deal not just with the technical side of change, but the emotional side of change as well. So
Mhm.
too often when change happens, what do we focus on? We focus on processes. Okay, what are we going to do if someone contracts COVID? We focus on policies. So, what is going to be our work from home policy? Right? We focus on procedures. What will be the contact tracing procedure? Well, we have all these figured out. But what we forget is that people will go through different emotional stages as transformation happens. And this too needs to be acknowledged, recognized, and
Mhm.
dealt with as well.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. And one more thing, if I may add as well, you made mention earlier about the issues on mental health, and that's, I believe, one of the silver lining also COVID-19 has brought about in our life or within organizations, especially, right? Because a lot of times, like they would consider voicing out about mental issues or health issues as a taboo in the past, right? But now, like more and more organizations are understanding because like people are integrated, we have
Yes,
holistic. It has, everything in life has to be considered to ensure that your people are happy and to ensure that profitability will be high as well. Right? Yeah.
that is true, Marilyn. No? So the stigma on mental health issues is beginning to go away. We're still not there yet. It's a
Mhm.
work in progress, but as you pointed out, yes, the work has started, and it's good that awareness is increasing.
Yes, very true. I'm not sure if I've shared the summary of what you've said. I'm just putting it down. And, the importance
You're
of
doing
learning.
great.
The importance of learning, I mean, you have to at this point in time, it's important to learn, unlearn, and relearn new skills because as you mentioned earlier, there are new strategies, there are new things that we are not trained for in the past, right? So
Yes.
how can we actually address that if we don't get to learn all those changes? And I love the part where you mentioned, like, a lot of things we focus at times we focus on processes, policies, etc., which I just put as well in the summary, and yet we forget about the people, and that's where a lot of transformation, whether it's digital transformation or any organizational transformation, fails, right? Because they always forget to, like consider the most important part of the transformation, which are the people who has to do the
Yes.
execute everything, right?
True. And as they execute, they go through different emotional phases and they need to be coached through those various emotional phases.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone would agree that we're getting so much value from this interview with you. And
Thank you.
so let's go to the last two questions, which I would always say that my Miss Universe questions. The Miss Universe just ended. Congratulations to Rabia, right? From
Yeah,
so
she made
for
it to the top
top
20 or
15.
21. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so my question then is, if you have a magic wand that you can use, I do have a magic wand here. What will you do?
Okay. Can I pick two?
Sure, go
Uh,
ahead.
yes. So number one has to do with the environment,
Mhm.
and The first one I'd say is transform nature to where it was maybe like 50 years ago. Now,
Mhm.
why do I want to do that? By doing so, I think we can enjoy our natural habitat the way God intended us to. Right, with
Yeah.
clean air, no, we inhale clean air, we drink clean water. We don't have to drink all this purified water that we're drinking now. We have free access to beaches, no? And
Mhm.
wouldn't it be nice to be back there in that situation? Okay,
I would
so
love
that
that
is,
too.
yeah, number one, no, to transform nature, and number two, eliminate poverty. Because by eliminating poverty, I believe that we can live in freedom. People can live in freedom and
Mhm.
reach their highest potential. No? So poverty is a yoke that many people have to live with. And not everyone is able to free themselves of this yoke. And the cycle just continues. And I think it's a waste of human potential.
Mhm. Yes, thank you so much. And I wish you have a one magic wand.
I wish so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the last question would be, if you were to ask yourself a question that you can best answer, what would it be? And please feel free to share with us what's your answer and why.
Okay. So the question would be, where to from here? Where to from here? Right? And my answer from a personal perspective would be to continue to sharpen the saw
Mhm.
and renew myself to keep being relevant. No?
Mhm.
And you know what, Marilyn, I chose this question because I found this mindset, the growth mindset, to
Oh,
be
yeah,
especially useful during the pandemic.
true.
So, who would have thought that someone my age can transition from traditional to virtual training? No, but I did. I did in just a matter of weeks. And as I am speaking, I continue to add to my skills, and I continue to add skills inventory to my portfolio so I can continue adding value to the people that I serve.
Thank you for sharing with us. And it's really important. I mean, a lot of people would always say about adaptability, the importance of agility, reinventing yourself. And yet,
Yes.
not a lot of people are so open to learning to, new skills and, to continuously, like what you've said, sharpen the saw, right? And that's
Yes.
we've been busy in the last few years where where COVID hits, and we have to, pivot our business and, do our best to continue to add value to our customers, right? So, like,
Yes.
in the recent months, I've really learned so much things. I'm not a techie person myself. I always like meeting people in person and, having that connection with them. And yet, now I've been using like quite a number of tools to be able to still continue to connect, like this StreamYard, Zoom, and
Well, I,
so
I learned I learned something new from you today, Marilyn. This StreamYard is a
thank
fantastic
you.
platform.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. And so I really appreciate and thank you for sharing with us your thoughts and insights on this very important topic on leadership and transformation. And before we end this interview, is there anything more that you'd like to add or share with our audience?
Well, I just want to say that we continue to be in tough times, and but I know that it's hard, probably easier than done, but I think we all need to just continue to be hopeful
Mhm.
because there is indeed a silver lining, and the vaccinations have started, and hopefully that in the next few months
Mhm.
things will begin to feel normal again. And until that happens, I just wish for everyone to stay safe and stay healthy.
Yes, thank you so much, Rosan, for that. And thank you for this very inspiring and insightful interview with you. We've learned so much from you in just 30 minutes. And so I also thank everyone who's listening right now, and do join us with with the learning interventions that we organize. Tomorrow we'll actually have speaking of mindset, which you mentioned earlier, growth mindset, right? We're running a master class on mindset tomorrow with Chris Chu, and at the same time we would want to organize as well a mastermind, because this is one way for us to continuously share our thoughts and communicate and learn from each other through mastermind. So we're organizing that next Friday as well, aside from similar interviews that we do. And you can see our website scrolling down below. If you'd like to know how to stay relevant, lead effectively, and transform your team, do get in touch with us to find out more how we can help you, right? So, with that, I'd like to leave you, everyone, with this quote from Dolly Parton: "If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader." Thank you for watching, everyone. And yeah, looking forward to working with you again, Rosan.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Marilyn. It's been a pleasure. Bye.